Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. And welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another edition of HCW Show Squared. The show that takes the usual format or formula of the defunct HCW Show podcast and spans the power of, you guessed it, two. I am your host for these, as always, Dan, DP, as we all say nowadays, DpuizY, yeah. And as you noticed, I'm here by myself this week. It just is what it is. Craig's out, Nikki's out, Mike's out, the usuals are out. So, you know, it was just short notice as well, and so it's just me this week. So, yeah, deal with it. Anyway, we're here to discuss NXT for the 8th of April 2025. So, without any further ado, let's get into it, I guess. So, we immediately kick things off with a backstage interview with NXT Women's World Champion Stephanie Vaquer. She's asked about if she's made a decision as to who she wants to face for her title at Stand and Deliver. She replies that she'll have an answer after the upcoming match. So, with that in mind, I guess it is time to get into the open match of the night, which is a singles match between Jordynne Grace and Jada Parker. And the result for this match is called off when there is some disturbance with Stephanie Vaquer, who is at ringside for commentary. And all three end up fighting outside. I rated the match 3.5 stars. I really enjoyed what we got here, even though it was kind of a crappy ending. Firstly, though, Stephanie laid hands on Jada first. So, surely that's going to a DQ. Even if, you know, she clocks Jordan afterwards accidentally. But that should be a DQ, whatever. Besides that, though, Jada and Jordan have some really good chemistry in the ring, and I hope personally that we can get a fully fleshed out program between the two of them once we're past Stand and Deliver season. Post match, however, the fighting is still going on, and it seems that both Jordan and Jada want a piece of Vaquer. However, in wrestling, as we all know, when there's a 2-on-1 advantage, someone has to come out and even the odds. And who would that person be? Well, we hear the music, and it's Giulia, as in former NXT Women's World Champion Giulia. Okay, she's back already. So she comes out. She helps Vaquer. She clears off Jordan and Jada. She and Giulia stand back to back. They sort of collide, but they're sort of like, hey, friends. And then Giulia's like, no, not friends. And then hits a Northern Lights bomb on Vaquer. Then places her foot on Vaquer's face while she holds up the Women's World title. Has Giulia turned heel? Because it seems like she has. But, with that in mind, the question has to be asked from yourselves, from me. What was the point of having Vaquer win both title belts if Giulia wasn't injured for a long term? There could have been something else that we did for Roadblock. There wasn't a need to have both titles on the line in that match in particular if Giulia just needed a few weeks off. You know, like it. Again, it just screams that they wanted to do the moment, the pop, you know, to have Vaquer as both champions, to then have her vacate the title and make the title sort of diminished. It's diminished returns. It's just, you're not getting anything out of it. But it's very weird in my opinion. I personally do not think it's necessary to have that. Just you know, for the pop. Was the plan after Stand and Deliver to have Giulia or Vaquer vacate anyway? Or was there more to it? Was there a plan for the match to happen at Stand and Deliver? You know, like it's just very odd. And I don't fully get it. But with that in mind, it is what it is, I guess. I mean, move on from that. After that, we go backstage with Hank and Tank. Honk. They are reflecting on what Nathan Frazier said last week to them, and how they need to learn something and pick up something for future matches. They run into Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Swipe right. The hottest tag team on NXT Evolve, who basically give them, who basically give off beta cuck energy, and tell Hanging Tank to get their pens and papers and prepare to take notes as they beat Fraxium. Yeah, sure, lads. Hanging Tank then turn around and question: are they even that desperate? They don't need that help because they're not that desperate. I quite like that. Following on from that, we had a vignette with the Culling, Sean Spears' group of himself, Izzy Dame, Brooks Jensen, and Nico Vance. Federation. I don't know. Anyway, the trio that aren't Spears dwell on last week, when Spears lost the men's North American title to Ricky Saints. They promised no help. What? I promised to help. I can't read my own notes. They promised to help Spears get the title back. However, Spears doesn't want to talk about that. He is grateful for the chance that he had to be a singles champion for the first time in his career. However, that's no longer the goal, as now it's the men's North American title was never the focus, and now the focus is on the three of them to do something. Izzy has a women's North American title ladder match qualifier. Nico and Brooks have a match against Hank and Tank, and that should be their individual focuses. As the Culling was never about Spears, it was about fostering the future, preparing the three of them for glory. I mean, I'm not against the Culling in general, like other people are, but I quite like it, and Spears can cut a good promo, and that's something that we've always known about Sean Spears, is that he knows how to do promos, and while he might be the most interesting character, the promo work is really good. So yeah, good stuff here. After this, we had a tag team match. It was Fraxium, actually with Nathan Frazier, the current NXT tag team champions, taking on the team of Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. Swipe right. Fraxium win after a top rope Spanish fly and Phoenix Splash from Frazier onto Smokes. I rated it 3 stars. It was alright, and I'm borderline annoyed that I had to say that. And also that I was right. Swipe right are pretty good. In the ring, they're pretty good. They hold their own. It just sucks that their gimmick is from the 1970s. Thankfully, we didn't see too much of it here, though. This also served as a good tune-up match for Fraxium towards the end of the season, who were like, hey guys, we're still here. We wrestle. Look at us. Hey. And while I suspect Fraxium were a main reason for why it was good, it's not like Swipe Right were an active detriment to the match either. So, all round, not great, but good stuff. Again, just wish Swipe Right's gimmick wasn't that their Love Island region fuckboy beta cucks. That is literally what I've written down in my notes. They are that. They are that. And they don't get away with it. They are fuckboy, beta, cucks. That. The worst people in society. They would be IWC Redditors. No offense to the IWC Redditors. Anyway, we go backstage with Fatal Influence. Fallon walks into the locker room where JC and Jasmine are talking, and there's news. Fatal Influence are going to be getting a ladder match qualifier. So Fallon says naturally she's going to win. She's going to enter herself into it, win the qualifier, and then get her title back, the Women's North American title. JC, however, takes exception to the idea, as Fallon's already had the belt and failed to keep it. JC wants to have the spot. However, this leads to an argument between herself and Fallon. In the meanwhile, Jasmine finally speaks up for herself and declares that she'll be the one to enter the qualifier match, and expects both JC and Fallon to be in her corner. Both JC and Fallon do not know how to react to this, but it seems like it's settled. It will be Jasmine Nix against someone as she competes on behalf of Fatal Influence in the qualifying match. But who would it be against? Now, We find out straight away because the third match of the night is, bear with me, a women's NXT North American Championship ladder match qualifier as Jasmine Nix with Fatal Influence in her corner takes on that was the wave. It's Sol Ruka, who is joined by Zarya. And of course, it is what it is. Sol wins with the Soul Snatcher. I rated it 3.25 stars. This was a 5-minute encounter, just barely over 5 minutes, so it doesn't get the restriction. This was quite fun. The result was quite obvious, however. These two have good chemistry though. Sol's always been fun to see in the ring, and I think the more I see of her, Jasmine Nix has turned out to be my favourite member of Fatal Influence. So I'm glad to see she's getting more in ring time now. She seems to be cleared from her injury. It's just a shame that she won't be in another match. The aspect as well of Sol, Ruka, and Zarya both being in another match is quite a fun addition to it as well, in my opinion. After this, we move on to an interview with Javon Evans. Javon says that he knew that DarkState were going to be a problem, and if Chicken Oba had listened to him instead of trying to little bro him, then they wouldn't be where they are now. He's annoyed by the behaviour of Chicken Oba, and that he says that he's not the ruler. He doesn't have an era, but that's fine because he wouldn't want to be like them anyway. He says that he's cool with Trick trying to snuff out Javon. It's whatever, but Javon will be on top. Tonight, it's DarkState though. But as Stand Deliver, it'll be the men's NXT World Championship. So he seems determined. After we get an interview with Giulia. She's asked why she attacked someone who many people believe that is her best friend. Giulia speaks plainly. She says, no friends, rematch. Making her intentions clear, but will Vaquer grant the rematch? We go to match 4 now of the night. It is a tag team match. We have a team of Hank and Tank, Honk, Hank Walker and Tank Ledger taking on a team of the Culling, Brooks Jensen and Nico Vance. And of course, who would win? Other than the Culling win, following a tandem second rope knee drop and Dominator on Hank. Fuck, it's a good finisher. I rated 2.25 stars though. Remember the rule: short match, less than 5 minutes. You're gonna have a restriction on it. Short match, but a definitive victory for the Culling. Hank and Tank look good here too, much better than they did against the NQCC last week. I still think Hank and Tank could benefit from time outside of NXT, even if it meant just a short stint in TNA. I think they benefit from not being stuck in the system that is WWE. They feel like a team that WWE and NXT don't really know how to utilize, but we do have the current story ongoing where they need to find themselves. So hopefully that turns out into something. But we'll see. I've got my thoughts on that. The Culling, however, looked good here, and that's no surprise. Nico looks great, so does Brooks, but the main thing here was that they got the chance to further showcase themselves in NXT, and soon, and I mean real soon, they'll get a chance at Fraction. And they may even win tag belts, in all honesty. After this, we see a car turn up, and inside said car was men's North American champion Ricky Saints, and we'll be hearing from him up next. And I'm back. I had to turn the light on quickly. Okay. So, we are back in the ring now with Ricky Saints. Ricky is here and he says that when he came to NXT, he said he was going to turn everything upside down and that the Revolution would be televised. And that came true because he is the new men's North American champion. He'd love to keep the celebration coming, however, he cannot because of the actions of Ethan Page, which he understands because if someone like Ricky and his caliber came in and did what Ethan did, but faster and better, then his ego would be shattered. So if Ethan has an issue with it, he invites Ethan to come on down and discuss it. We get a reply, but it's not from Ethan. It is from Lexis King. Lexis King is here, the current Heritage Cup champion. He claims that Ricky is worried about the wrong guy. Lexis loves gold, and he would love to carry some more, but he's cut off by Eddie Thorpe. Eddie says that it must be nice to waltz in and be handed opportunities while other people starve to get what they deserve. He's been on a quest for a title, and he claims that the men's North American title is his birthright because it was stolen from his people. Because North America, yeah. Saints doesn't need to worry about anyone other than Thorpe. However, in comes Wes Lee and his goons, Tyson and Tyreek, who claim that you can't have a discussion about the men's North American title without mentioning Wes Lee, and he is long overdue having a title around his waist again. Lexis says that if he was in Wes's shoes, he would be desperate to relive his glory days. Eddie pops up calling Lexis a greedy white man. Those are his words, not mine. Who isn't happy with what he has. He says Lexis needs to worry about his Heritage Cup because the men's North American Cup title belongs to Eddie. At this point, Ricky speaks again and says that now is not the time to figure this out. He does go on to speak more about if they want a title shot. However, before he finished that, he's cut off by Ethan Page, who hits him with a twist of fate. Ethan then goes to pick up the title, and then the others also reach in too, resulting in a weird little short-lived tug of war between the four of them, which then involves just into an all-out brawl, which sees Wesley hitting a big tope on all three on the outside and standing tall, claiming that the championship is his, or will be his. Backstage in Ava's office, Ava, along with Robert Stone and Stevie Turner, have been watching the show and what's been going on. Rob Stone is excited because we're in a stand deliver season. Stephanie Vaquer is here now and Ava asks if she's made a decision as to who she wants to face at stand deliver for her title. Vaquer answers, saying that she wants all of them. So it seems we're getting a four-way at stand deliver for the Women's NXT World Championship, which should be fucking fun. After this, though, we go into an interview with Trick Williams. Sick. He is asked about competing in a triple threat match to try and win back the men's NXT World title. Trick whines that there's always someone in the way when he wants to get back to where he was. First it was Eddie Thorpe, now it's Javon Evans. He brings up his resume of accolades, including back-to-back stand deliver main events, but this time round, he'll win. And when he wins, he'll be the new men's NXT World Champion. He's then asked about if he has concerns at DarkState. Trick says of course he has concerns at DarkState because of what they've done last week. They don't care about anyone, but he warns Javon Nova to be on their A game because come stand deliver, he'll whip both their asses. Okay. After this, we go into a singles match. It is the fifth match of the night. We have Wes Lee with Tyson and Tyreek against Yoshiki Inamura, who is with Josh Briggs in his corner. And the winner of this would be Wes Lee following interference from Tyson DuPont and a cardiac kick. I rate it 2.5 stars. Once again, shorter than 5 minutes. Restrictions. However, I am giving this 2.5 because it's the highest I can give to a sub 5 minute match. I enjoyed the chemistry between these two, and I imagine Briggs will want to get involved in some way in this. Or we maybe see Briggs and Amora against Tyson and Tyreek while Wes focuses on the men's North American title. I don't know. Either way, sub 5 minutes was good for what little time it did get. And at this point, it is strange that we're not already at the main event. We're 5 matches in. Like that's normal for NXT. After this, we get a promo with Opa. Opa is working out, but he has time for a promo for us. He talks about DarkState and how their appearance as the locker room worrying about where they'll attack next or who they'll target next. He then talks about the attack on him last week and how also at Vengeance Day they did the same thing. And he will return the favor tonight. Then afterwards, he'll focus on Trick and Javon. And then them two will find out that in 2 weeks' time that the ruler cannot be stopped. He then claims that Trick and Javon will suffer the same fate as DarkState tonight. Defeat at the hands of the ruler. After this, we go into the 6th match of the night for said before, it is another women's NXT North American Championship ladder match qualifier between Izzy Dame, who's with the Culling, against Ren Sinclair, who's with the Ren QCC, which is the NQCC, no court catch crew. Anyway, Izzy wins following a sit-out spine buster. I rate it 2.5 stars. Again, sub 5-minute match, you know the rules. And so do I. I did enjoy this. However, for the time it got, these two are really solid. And it's nice to see the Culling actually doing stuff in ring. For a while, it just felt like they were doing dark room segments, and that's about it. So it's good to see them out there and doing stuff finally. Izzy's in another match. Shaping up to be a good one, as we now have 4 out of these 6 spots filled. Ren, on the other hand, as well, great competitor, great wrestler, always fun to see her wrestle. However, kind of stuck in a limbo, as is all of NQCC, really. So much so that Tavian and I think, is Ren doing it this year? I think Ren might have done it last year. But Tavian is going to be at Bloodsport of Josh Barnett during the collective weekend, on Mania weekend, which is insane to me. But yeah, do more with the NQCC, I guess, and yeah, cool. Anyway, after this, we're backstage in Ava's office again. Ava is in the office with Metaphor, Lash Legend, and Jakara Jackson, and Fatal Influences Jessie Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix, when she says that there will be no last chance qualifier for Stand and Deliver. This causes outrage, and at this moment, in comes Roxanne Perez, who says that, well, she's very outspoken, and says that there better be a last chance qualifier because I'm Roxanne Perez and I need to be on the Stand and Deliver card. And I agree. Ava then backtracks on what she said and says that she can see the people in the room and she has an idea for what she can do for the show for Stand and Deliver. However, she will not elaborate further than that for now. Roxanne then says that it better not be a tag match because she hasn't got a tag partner, which is mockery from both Metaphor and Fatal Influence because they're a big group of people. After this, we go backstage. It is Kale Dixon and Araya Connors who are watching back footage from their match on Level Up when Andre Chase appears from behind saying, "Not like that." They turn around saying, What do you mean? Andre then says that they're moving too fast. Kale and Araya then ask for Andre's help. Andre then says that they don't want his help. Then Kale and Araya say they do, and Andre hesitantly agrees to help them and goes over to help and walks over to help them. However, the camera then pans to Hank and Tank, who've just stormed into the locker room, into the backstage area. Sorry, and they're still lamenting over their loss earlier, and they're considering, hanging it up, being done with it, leave WWE, leave NXT, whatever, right? And then at this point, we see a team come in to offer advice. Now, at this point, we've had the Hardys, we've had the Motor Machine Guns, we've had Pretty Deadly, we've had Swipe Right, and now we have the current WWE SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, they are here, they appear, and they're ready to sneer. I don't know. Anyway, they say that they know what Hank and Tank are going through, and it's just a rough patch. They need to pick themselves up because next week there'll be a tag team gauntlet, the winners of which will face Fraxium, Stand and Deliver, and they need to be who they are. And then they shout the same thing over and over. All in the meanwhile, though, Andre Chase and his crew of Kel Dixon and Araya Connors are looking on, taking notes, studying, whatever they're doing, but they're there, watching on. And after this, though, we go into the main event of the night, the 7th match of the night. We have a 6-man tag match. It is DarkState, Dion Lennox, Cutler James, and Saquon Sugars taking on Opami, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans. And of course, who will win this match? The main event of Stand and Deliver or DarkState. And of course, the winners would be DarkState, who win following a lifted, assisted, throwaway powerbomb combination on Javon, which looked fucking crazy. But we'll get to it. 4.5 stars I rated this. That's right, 4.5 stars. It was an incredible match, and a mixture of a whole bunch of elements, ranging from the tension of Overtrick and Javon, all the way to just how dangerous and or organised would DarkState turn out to be. And the answer to that latter question would be very. As soon as the match started, they were on the attack, and they actually managed to handle Oba to a degree, which is not something that many people can say that they can do. DarkState showcased themselves in the best way possible by utilising tactics that you don't tend to see much of nowadays. They're interfering in the match, but in ways that the ref can't DQ them or even sanction them for it. They cause minor inconveniences to frustrate the good guys, and then take advantage when they're frustrated or distracted. It's not as cut as dry as most of the rest you see on the mainstream like that. Great stuff. I've said it before, I'll say it again. DarkState are literally Retribution, but done correctly. I'm very pleased to see him pick up the win here, and that finisher. Fuck. Obviously, first time been tried on live TV, I guess, and it didn't work out properly. It looks fire though, and with time and with perfection and just getting used to it, I think it can be a really good trio finisher. So we'll see. However, I'm confident they'll get there. It was all long, great stuff. And that wasn't even the end, and that wasn't even the end of it. Because on the Titantron, as DarkState are celebrating their win, appears Channing Lorenzo or Stacks. On behalf of the family, he challenges DarkState to a fight. But not just any fight. A fight in the NXT parking lot. DarkState accept this challenge basically, so I guess we're getting it next week. A parking lot match of some kind. However, I've got a bit of a point here, and I'm not being a certain way. There's 4 of DarkState. The family have 3, plus Rizzo. Because as we all know, WWE don't tend to allow intergender violence. It's just odd, that's all. But also, it is just more a thing of Stacks going out of his way to be the leader, and then, you know, next week we'll see Tony going like, Stacks, what you do that for? You know, like that sort of thing. However, it's just something that I don't know, to be honest. But we'll see. We will absolutely see. And that was the end of NXT. Yeah, let me know what you thought of the show. Let me know if you agree, disagree with what I've said. But yeah, if you're so inclined, I am on Twitter at DpuizY. But other than that, please follow the podcast on the platforms you see below. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Twitch is there. It's not being used much, but it is there. TikTok as well, Blue Sky as well. They're all platforms that we use. There's a link tree in the video below as well to happily and easily link anyone who wants to subscribe or follow on the platforms. But yeah, that was NXT. This has been episode 83 of Show Squared. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending your time. I know this has been a shorter one than usual, but hey, it's just me trying to avoid. So what can you do? I've been Dan, DpuizY. You have been my wonderful audience, and until then, you know, live long, live prosperous, live happy. Wrestling. Alright, goodbye.